I'm Zack Kopplin, a science advocate and troublemaker from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The summer before my sophomore year of high school, I watched in shock as my state legislators passed a creationism law, and my Brown University biology major governor signed it. I thought it was 2008, not 1925, but I guess I was wrong. I assumed someone else would stand up and fight this law, but no one did. By my senior year in high school, I realized that person had to be me. Initially, I was told I had no chance, that no one would sponsor my repeal bill, that we would get nowhere. We haven't succeeded yet, but over the past few years we made incredible progress. For the past 2 years we brought a bill before our state legislature. We have the support of 78 Nobel laureate scientists, major science organizations, the City Council of New Orleans, and tens of thousands of others. But this fight is bigger than Louisiana. America needs a science revolution. We need a second giant leap for mankind. My generation will face unprecedented challenges to our way of living and to our survival as a species. Our population continues to climb, but the amount of clean water and living space we have on Earth has been stretched thin. Our climate is growing increasingly extreme, and a disease like avian flu, which currently has a 60% mortality rate, could become transmitted by humans and turn into a worldwide pandemic in our age of rapid travel. Cardiovascular disease, cancer, and AIDS continue to take thousands of lives every year. The Earth is experiencing a rapid decline in biodiversity, especially in our oceans, and we could be faced with a killer asteroid in our near future. We know these threats sound like science fiction, but they're real, and my generation is going to have to address them. The way to overcome these challenges and ensure the continued long-term existence of our species is through investment in rapid scientific innovation. We have these challenges, but I have a different vision of the future, a vision where we overcome them. I see a future where instead of denying climate science, we learn to harness wave energy and invest far more in revolutionary, sustainable technologies like algae fuel. I see a future where we learn to turn off cancer cells. I believe in a world where cars will be automated and where evacuated tube transport will send passengers from New York to Beijing in 2 hours. I believe we can create the tools to live elsewhere in the universe so we're not trapped on Earth where a single disaster could wipe out humanity. I see us on Mars. But this is not everyone's vision. To make this second giant leap possible, the culture surrounding science in America must change. Too many have rejected evidence-based science. Nearly 60% of American public school biology teachers are not teaching evolution properly, and another 13% even admit to teaching creationism. Almost half of Americans believe the Earth was formed in the last 10,000 years and evolution did not happen. Taxpayer-funded schools in my home state of Louisiana are teaching that scientists and their scientific work are sinful. At least 300 of these taxpayer voucher schools nationwide are teaching creationism. Some call evolution the way of the heathen, or some are bringing their students to the Creation Museum itself, and they're receiving public money. Teachers in public schools in Louisiana and Tennessee are allowed to teach unscientific alternatives to evolution, the origin of Earth, and climate change, and this is allowed by state law. Other states may soon follow suit. Denying and misteaching evidence-based science like evolution and climate science will confuse our students about the nature of science and stifle future American scientists and scientific innovation. The politics surrounding science must also change. A member of the U.S. House of Representatives Science Committee recently called evolution, embryology, and the Big Bang Theory lies straight from the pit of hell. The former chairman of the same committee believes that climate change is a massive conspiracy and that scientists created the conspiracy to get more funding. He then tried to cut off science funding in response. Another member of this committee suggested that cutting down more trees would actually reduce global warming. Former Senator Rick Santorum attempted to sneak a creationism law into President Bush's No Child Left Behind Act. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, from the state I now live in, Texas, and some other representatives hosted a congressional briefing called Scientific Evidence of Intelligent Design and its Implications for Public Policy and Education. And so, for the record, there are no implications for public school education for intelligent design. We should not be teaching it. Campaigns are being led against vaccines, and the current cuts to federal funding for our basic scientific research could prevent our country from launching the next Hubble telescope or the next Human Genome Project. We would have never created the Internet or the Manhattan Project if we hadn't spent money funding science. I'm honored to accept the Troublemaker Award. When I initially began my campaign for science, I didn't imagine it had anything to do with speaking out or making trouble. In the last few years, I've been called brainwashed and blamed for Hurricane Katrina even. I've been insulted by my elected officials. It's a tough fight, but we must keep speaking up and acting out for good science. As President Kennedy said, we choose to go to the moon in this decade and do other things, not because they're easy, but because they are hard, because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone. This is something we cannot postpone. We need a second giant leap for humankind.